actor isn't the first word to come to mind when we think of Jennifer Lopez. But funnily enough, she started out as an actor. In fact, she was acting in films long before she jump-started the American Latin pop craze with her 1999 debut album. Luckily enough, Lopez's newest venture, Marry Me, has bridged the gap between the two of her many career paths by casting her in the role of a pop sensation. Let's do a deep dive into the movie to see why it, quote, was very meta, unquote, for her. First up, we have the plot. Adding to the ocean of marriage of convenience flicks that went before it, Lopez's 2022 release doesn't stray far from its predecessors. Following a similar formula as the oldies, it gets its Latin pop sellout, Kat Valdez, to marry an audience member at a special concert where she wants to marry her, now a certified cheater, fiancé Bastian, played by the Colombian singer Maluma. Following the wedding, the audience member turned husband, Charlie, gives in to her demand of staying in the relationship, as the trope goes, to stick it to her fiancé as well as the media. The rest of the movie progresses, as is the norm with these movies, briefly. Love blossoms, fizzles out, and is reignited between the characters in one order or another. Without further spoiling anything, let's just say the film ends on a happy note, followed by a montage of couples recounting how they first met. Besides the pop star angle, what was it about the storyline that made Lopez feel so seen or meta? Tag along as we more closely unpack the appeal of the script for a multidimensional woman like J-Lo. This movie was very personal for me. Although Selena was the first music-related film that she signed for, it was more of an ode to the titular Trejon singer Selena, who was murdered and died prematurely at the age of 23. This film, however, allowed her to act as well as record and sing her own songs. But that's not the only thing that drew the star to the script. Among some other important factors were how Lopez saw herself in the constant scrutiny that Valdez had to undergo regarding her relationship and Bastian's cheating scandal. Somewhat in line with the plot, Lopez also had to call off her wedding with Ben Affleck only 4 days before the event was to take place in 2002. While the two recently got back together again, at the time of the breakup, Lopez felt that her relationship self-destructed in front of the entire world and made her feel eviscerated. Alongside the long list of failed relationships, Jennifer was able to find a common ground with Kat Valdez's boss lady persona as well. The actor spoke at length about how, a lot like her character, she's an old-timer in the industry who's a regular person at the end of the day as well. To elaborate, like any other woman, a businesswoman like her and Kat Valdez or otherwise, she too gets lonely, pines for love, and is looking for a home. These recent comments perfectly align with Lopez's previous multiple allusions to wanting a successful marriage throughout her career. It doesn't get more meta than this if you ask us. The film's director, Kat Coiro, also couldn't help but notice how easily Lopez carried her personality over to the film and the character. The two even had a long conversation about how always being under the spotlight had affected Lopez. Nevertheless, while the role was cut out for her, it's not wholly autobiographical. Therefore, the actor and the character differ in a number of ways as well. Let's take a quick look at what sets the two boss ladies apart. Next, what sets them apart? In her interviews with Vanity Fair, the director Kat Coiro also threw light on how Lopez's relationship with her children sets her apart from her character. While Valdez gets to explore this aspect somewhat with Charlie's daughter Lou, she doesn't have any children of her own. Another difference is how Owen's character is just your everyday man. Lopez, who's had around 5 engagements in her career thus far, has never really dated a fan, unlike several musicians and actors out there. The private man Charlie not only makes the film a when two worlds collide type film, but also gives us a lot of perspective on Lopez's past and current relationships with famous people. Up next, showcasing her gifts as a performer and a producer, Lopez, who is also a producer on Marry Me, recounts in an interview with Vanity Fair how she wanted to recreate the feeling of a full-blown concert for the movie. The I'm Real singer had her wish realized in a surprise performance at a Maluma concert that was going on at the time. Even though Maluma didn't know of her plan, he was very supportive of it, and the performance made it to the final cut. Now, although it seems like a piece of cake, an impromptu performance like that can only be the work of a highly talented individual. In addition to this improv concert, where she sang the film's title track Marry Me, she also had to sing for a wide variety of other scenes in the film. With all the singing and the important shots that she had to call as the producer, there's no doubting director Coiro's comment that Lopez is a pure artist. Now that we've got the scoop on the film, let's delve into the news surrounding it to get an even firmer handle on things. Now, in other related news, the return of the rom-com. The moviegoers' preferences have changed markedly in the last few years, seeing that thrillers and animated films have gained the upper hand nowadays. Consequently, the rom-coms of the days of old are hard to come by. Nevertheless, Marry Me comes very close to the classics like Cameron Diaz's What Happens in Vegas and Nicole Kidman's Far and Away. One look at its plot confirms the aforementioned statement. Despite that, and in keeping with today's politically correct era and attitudes, it's a rom-com with a running commentary on the troubles of celebrity life. Still, it has retained most of the tropes common to old rom-com, with its beauty and the geek and pulls apart subplots. Therefore, media outlets aren't entirely wrong in dubbing it the revival of the rom-com, or alternately, Lopez's attempt at saving rom-com. Next, getting behind the sustainability trend. While it doesn't seem so from our TV screens or cinema screens, making movies isn't a small deal. A movie set normally spreads over a large expanse and utilizes a plethora of resources to curb and highlight the damage that films and television are doing to the planet in the name of single-use resources. The organization Habits of Waste launched a campaign called Lights, Camera, Plastic in July last year. The campaign invited the film industry to minimize the use of single-use plastic in films by incorporating reusable cutlery into scenes. The Marry Me director Coiro, who wants to avoid creating tons of waste for the landfills, hopped on the trend of greener sets for the film. She expressed how she apparently had no trouble with it because Owen Wilson and Jennifer Lopez were already on board the sustainability wagon. Where the swell bottles and steel lunchboxes in the film testify to the success of her environment-friendly measures for the set, they moreover give the audiences a glance at Charlie and Kat's sense of duty to their planet, in turn advising them to opt for the same options. Up next, quality time with her real-life Charlie. Post the release of the film and the ballad version of its title track Marry Me, Lopez has taken a break from her next film shoot to spend time with Affleck in Spain. The two were spotted taking a stroll while casually dressed, and also briefly seen resting on a park bench in Gran Canaria. According to some resources, the two lovebirds are also buying a mansion in Bel Air, which will be able to house their family of 7 quite comfortably. We wish them nothing but love on this new development in their once rocky relationship. Lastly, Michelle Buteau's big break. Michelle Buteau, the stand-up comedian who played Kat's secretary Melissa in the film, told magazines that the movie was a major breakthrough for her as a performer. She highlighted how difficult it is to earn a decent name and amount, especially when you're trying to make it big as a comedian or a host. The comedian, who used intel from Lopez's real assistant to prepare for the role, told Variety that she said yes to the script because Melissa was a sassy character who wasn't afraid to speak her mind. She also went on to do a comedy special before the film's release, where she expressed how she had to act like she didn't know everything about Lopez, including the fact that they were birthday twins. While she was previously seen on BET's First Wives Club and also recently hosted Netflix's The Circle, this rising star is set again to star in an 8-part series titled Survival of the Thickest, based on her very own collection of essays. The series is a kind of dedication to her grandmother Marvis and explores singlehood for a newly single, black, plus-size woman of the same name. That's a wrap for this video. Have you seen the film yet? If yes, what do you think of her opinions? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.